Alright, we're going to go through a brief rundown of how to apply for a Youth Advisory Board grant. I know that this has been something that you guys have been asking for, and we can do a tutorial video. So you'll see I click on the home page on the Apply Here Now. I want to run quickly through kind of what's on this page. We've got several documents here. We've got the supplemental information that's essentially giving a perspective on what the board is looking for in the different issue areas. Take a look at that. We've also got the grant budget template, which is the exact budget that you'll be filling in to submit your application. You'll be able to download that in another location, and we'll show that later, but you can also get it right here. Also, there's an actual PDF of the application itself if you want to print something out and maybe take it into a planning meeting. You can see we've got some key dates to remember there, and then also a detailed breakdown of each of the issue areas. So, two different application buttons here, one for 501c3 schools and school districts, and the other is for government entities like state boards of education, departments of education, the police departments, fire departments, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and use the 501c3 schools and school districts. So this brings us to the profile creation page, if you will. I've already created my profile, so I'll go ahead and log in using my information. And if you can see above me right here, there is the first-time user. So if you haven't actually opened, if you haven't been to this link, you can create your own profile there. So as you can tell, I've actually done several samples and actually submitted one earlier today called Sample Project. And so what we'll do is, for the sake of doing this, I'm going to go ahead and start a new application. As you can see, there's information here, so make sure that you kind of read through what the application looks like. I'll go ahead and start a new application. And so first page, this brings us to the contact information. This is the contact information that you will have put in when you created your profile, so it should already be there. You want to make sure that you match this individual, which is you as a submitter, with the application that you're submitting. So the organization information, also something that would have already popped in. As you can see, my foundation is not a real foundation, but it's the one that was been selected to receive the grant if I'm selected. Proposal information. So this is kind of a little bit more informational. The student contact we don't need. It's not required, obviously, if they're under 18. We've got some age, gender, and ethnicity questions. So those are drop-down boxes and fill in. And then we get to the core of the application, which is these four tabs right here. So investigation, you can see the issue areas in a drop-down box. These are character maximums. You can see that as I type in, they'll count down. The questions are relatively self-explanatory, so I won't go through them in detail. The preparation's a very similar look. Questions have their own character maximum. Action, very similar. We've got dates. You can see start and end the dates. We've got the timeline here, so you can break it down into quarters and kind of describe in bullet points or in narrative form, whichever you choose, can describe your project as you go through in detail. Reflection tab. This is very similar to the others. So, again, it's a much simpler application this year. We feel it's a lot more user-friendly, so hoping that you guys will feel that as you submit. The extra information, this is a chance to include any video links that you may have. Not allowed to upload videos or pictures alongside your application, but if you do have some things out there on the internet or in the world somewhere, you can link to that, and the board will take a look at that. They don't necessarily use that in their scoring, because we do want to make sure we ensure a level playing field for all involved. That if just because you have a video doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be viewed at differently. But if you do have things you wanted to add in that you weren't able to put in, there would be the place. So the final tab is the budget upload. So what we can do is we can actually download the template here. And what I'll do is I'll actually do a quick run through of the budget template itself. I know there's been a lot of questions. So here we are on the Youth Advisory Board budget page, if you will, the actual budget template. We've downloaded that from the website. So there's 4 different tabs here at the bottom. One is just directions, kind of outlines what are these things, item description, quantity, what do they mean? So you can take a look at that. Then the line item budget is where you're going to be inputting the information. So project name, total request, this is calculated. This will already be calculated by the gray boxes. So what you do is you're simply typing in, all right, let's say for salaries, let's say I've got a director and director of the program, and I spelled it wrong. I'm not going to take the time to go back. There's one of me. I want $50,000 a year, so I enter that, and as you can tell, it's already calculated in the project expenditure and in the total requested funds. So you can tell that it's already calculated up there. So let's say that I have an assistant director who is assistant, and there's one of her, and she has actually donated her time. So she's going to, usually would be making $25,000, but she's doing it for free. So what I'll do is I'll enter this into the in-kind contributions, and as you can see, that's now taken it away from the total requested funds category. So part of the application is demonstrating what have you received in kind, or where are you receiving other labor, time, facilities, things like that that you're getting donated. So as we go down, you can see it very similar for the other categories. We don't necessarily need too much detail, so especially on like supplies and equipment. I know that there's obviously only 6 boxes there, so if you're doing things like pens, pencils, papers, just combine those into office supplies so that we still get an accurate picture of what you're asking for, but it's not this long drawn-out budget that has every possible item listed on it. So do not touch the gray boxes. Again, those are formulas that are you can't touch the gray boxes. We've locked them down. They're protecting the integrity of the format. Now I'll go into the analysis tab. So this is essentially what is kind of it runs an internal report on what you're actually putting in that previous page. So as you can tell, the key budget indicators, really the only 2 things that you need to look out for. A definite is obviously, is it within the 100,000 budget limit? So I'm only requesting 50, so I'm green there. As you can see, green is good, red is bad. Is my salary more than 20%? No, I'm asking. The only thing I'm asking for is salary. So remember that is only from what you're asking from the YAB. Now, if you have an overall project budget that is larger than 100,000, that's totally fine. But only 20% of what you're asking for from the board can go towards salary. So as you can see, it's kind of a summary of what you've asked for in the budget. And these pie charts here, they would look a little different if I had asked for different types of things. You can see everything right now is 100% salary. That would obviously break down due to the different departments or different categories here that you request in your application. With the expenditure by source, so as you can tell, you go back, I remember the 33% of the budget is coming from in-kind contribution, which is essentially not counting towards the overall request from the YAB. And you can see 67% is what the board is asking. So the application, essentially it's a quick look at the top 3 expenditures. Those numbers will already be inputted based on what you have inputted before. And it's really, I would say, stop short of including these amounts in a brief description of the expenses. You will have already done that through your description of the actual items in the previous page, and then also you may have weaved it into your narrative to explain why in your application you need a director for $50,000 per year. So what I'll do is I want to save this to the desktop. And you can save it to anywhere you'd like in your computer, because what we're going to do is we're going to go back and upload it. So you can see I'm clicking here. This is the last thing I need to do before I'm ready to proceed. I'm going to choose my file here, and I actually won't go through this process. It's not really necessarily. So what you do, choose your file, you upload the file. Once you're done, you're done. And then there'll be a button that pops up here that says, save and review. It'll take you to a screen, and I'm actually going to go back and look at one that I've just submitted. It'll take you to a screen very similar to this, and it'll say, review your application. It'll show you all of the information that you've inputted, and at the bottom it'll give you the opportunity to either save only and not submit, or if you're ready to go ahead and submit. And once you've submitted, you'll get a screen very similar to this again, confirming your receipt, confirming the receipt of the application. You can print that screen out if you'd like. You also will be receiving an email that has your ID, your application ID, and also some key dates, again, to remember kind of for the timeline this summer. So in a nutshell, that is how you submit an application for the Youth Advisory Board.